o'clock. So, hello and welcome everyone. I am Candice Coates, the Senior Customer Success Manager here at BiggerPockets, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our Featured Professionals webinar. This is where we spotlight professionals who are seeing real success within the program. And today we're going to dive into key topics like ROI, conversion, and best practices to help you maximize your success on the platform because we want to make sure you gain your ROI and you gain your conversion. That's the most important thing to us here at BiggerPockets. Throughout this session, my amazing team will engage with you in the chat, and we will have a Q&A at the end. So feel free to put it in the chat. We'll go through it and read them and ask David at the end any particular questions you want to answer to. And our goals today is very simple. To create space for exchanging ideas, sharing strategies, and learning from one another. We do want you to walk away with new ideas, insights, and inspiration to continue thriving in your business. We want you to win and also to see value in the program. But now let's introduce this handsome man that's on the camera. I'm excited to introduce our guest today. This is David O. He is featured in St. Louis, Missouri. He is incredibly passionate about working with investors and has been doing so since 2013. In 2025, David converted 6% of his BiggerPocket leads and generated an impressive 7 times ROI. This year, he increased his conversion rate already to 8%. We're only mid-year and achieved an incredible 12% return, not 12%, 12 times return on his investment. David, we're excited to have you here today and look forward to hearing your insights. So welcome.
Thanks for having me, Candice. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Oh, great. I'm glad you feel that way. We're glad to have you too. So we're going to get right in it. How's your experience been on the platform so far?
It's been amazing, and I'm so thankful to have an opportunity to kind of give back to this platform. I know, Candice, on your side of the fence, on Bigger Pockets, you guys are seeing, David spent close to $100,000 in ad spend. So you're reaching out and like, hey, how are things going for you? You're one of our bigger spenders and been on the platform for so long. And that gave me a chance to reflect on that, and it's been amazing. I mean, we've made over $1 million off of being on the Bigger Pockets platform. It's completely changed my life. I owe Bigger Pockets a ton, and we're going to give everything back to them today, including if you hang on to the end, we're going to give you a free copy of my book, Investor Friendly Agent, where we go over the exact strategy that I use to convert all these leads. So I'm excited and let's jump into it.
Yeah, absolutely. $100,000 spend with $1 million like GCI, that's creme de la creme. Like you can't
Yeah.
do that, right? Can you share what initially inspires you to get into real estate?
Yeah, great question. I never thought I was getting into real estate. I went to college, was raised in a middle class home, said, hey, go to college, get a degree, get a job. And so that's what I did. And I worked in IT for 12 years, just climbing the corporate ladder, living the 9 to 5. And along the way, a friend of mine at work had gotten the real estate license and was just helping friends and family sell a property on the side to get a little extra vacation cash. And around the time when I bought my first house, my realtor sucked so bad that I had to learn everything about how to be a realtor myself. So I was like, that sounds like a great idea because all my friends and family are young and they're going to be buying houses. And so I just got my license. And so it started with a friend of mine from college said he wanted to buy an investment property to rent out. And I told him he was crazy. Like, that's the worst decision you could ever make. You're going to get calls at 2 o'clock in the morning about people changing toilets. And he's like, no, Dave, I'm going to do this. And so I was like, okay, don't say I didn't warn you about it. And so he goes and buys this $37,000 house, near the airport in an area that I would deem a little questionable. And puts like 10 grand into it, doing paint and carpet and has it rented out within a month to like 3 students at the university nearby. And those parents of those students called him and said, hey, do you mind if I just pay the whole year's rent up front? And like just shipped him a check for like $7,000. Meanwhile, he had started a refinance on the property. So the property he bought for 37, put 10 in, appraised for 90. He got all of his money back out plus some. And I'm
Wow.
just watching all this unfold over a couple months. We didn't know it was called the Burr method at the time, but
Right.
that's exactly what he did. And I was like, wow, he's on to something. Like I gotta learn how to do this because I'm miserable in my job. I'm just here to collect the paychecks. And I had been listening to fantasy football podcasts in my cubicle every day at work. And I remember the day that I was like, well, maybe I should do something more productive. Is there something about real estate investing in the podcast world? And I did that search and I saw that little blue pocket and I got curious to click on it and I couldn't put it down. And I listened to like 300 Bigger Pockets episodes in a row. And I was not a reader at all. Like I only read the books that were required in college, but everybody at the end of the podcast said they read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was one of the most important things they ever read that got them into investing. So I'm like, I guess I got to get this book. You know, I've listened to 90 people say like this was the thing. So I ordered it. That came in. I couldn't put that book down. I finished it in like 2 days and then I was off to the races, you know, bit by that investing bug and just obsessed with how do I get free? How do I build an investment portfolio? And that's where kind of the journey started for me.
That's amazing. So how long did it take once you've your friend did the birth strategy, how long did it take for you to quit your job after that? Like after you got the book?
So yeah, so that happened. I got bit by the bug, and then it was about a year of me just listening and reading books and all this, just soaking up all this knowledge, and me being the analyst and the over engineer of everything. Like I kind of had the analysis of paralysis that you always talk about. So it took me a year to finally pull the trigger and buy a property. And so that was about a year after that happened. I bought my first property and everything went wrong. See, I had my own license, so I didn't think I needed help buying this property. Just bought a property from a wholesaler who said, hey, this will be a great rental, needs 20K to get it fixed up. I was like, well, let me be safe. Let me budget 25K. And I got in there, and it was just every week there was a new nightmare to deal with, whether it's the roof's leaking, the plumbing shot, the electric doesn't work, the foundation's falling apart. And I ended that rehab budget ended up swelling to like $55,000. I had drained my family savings account. Like we had saved up $90,000 over 10 years in our corporate careers, my wife and I, and it was gone. It was at zero. And I just remembered like the panic and like trying to go to sleep at night. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And thankfully, was able to get that sold, took a loss, but got a lot of that family savings back in my account. And a lot of people at that point say, well, why didn't you quit? Why didn't you just say it didn't work? And that's what a lot of people do. And I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of investors, and I see that time and time again. I just had a big enough why. Like I knew that, you know, I had to be more afraid of going back to my corporate job for the next 35 years and just retiring and being miserable for the bulk of my life and not being able to do the things and have the freedom that I want versus you know, I had to be more afraid of that than failing at real estate. And so I talk what I talk about in my book was like, hey, I got to the point where like I had a cardboard sign in my closet behind me that says we buy houses because if I went broke and homeless, I was going to stand on the side of the highway saying we buy houses. Like that's how committed I was to this working. And Bigger Pockets gave me the belief like all these people had success doing it. I know it will work. I just got to keep going and keep going. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I was blessed. The next property was like a home run. Like it was the easiest burr I've ever done. And I just kept adding bird properties to my portfolio. My wife jumped into the business with me and started helping with the property management and rehabs. We quickly got up to 10 properties in our rental portfolio that had a couple thousand in cash flow coming in. We used the flips to pay off all my personal debt, so credit cards, car loans, student loans. We had a second mortgage on a lake house. We completely paid it off by flipping properties. So basically got completely out of debt. And that's when I left my corporate job at the end of about 2 years into that process. And then 2 years after that, my wife was able to leave her corporate job because we had gotten to the point where we could do a flip together and make 100 grand profit on that flip. And she's like, that's more than I make in a whole year working my corporate job. And this only takes me a couple of months to do it. So, just, yeah. So that's how we kind of got into investing.
That's an amazing story. Like the main thing I got from what you said is like you have to live, eat, breathe this in
Yeah.
order to be successful. Your mindset has to change. You have to have a great support system because $90,000 getting drained. I know
Yeah.
you're in hot water
Yep.
and just making sure that you have a passion behind it. So I appreciate that's a great story to tell, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. So what type of challenges have you faced in your career so far? Like what was like a bad year for you?
A bad year. That's a great question. I don't think we've, the early years were tough, like getting going. Um, you know what really shifted for me. So I would say my first full-time year in real estate was in 2020. So like right around the corner was COVID. So that was kind of scary when that happened. um, because I was like, hey, I just quit my job. Like that, I'm relying on all of this. So that was a little bit slower of a year. And I also made a pivot in my business at that time. So like most realtors are like, hey, we're going after all of the business. So, I help home buyers, I help people selling with listings, I help investors, I help them all. Like what I decided to do was just niche down into I help investors. Like this is my specialty. This is my superpower. I'm going to go hard. I'm going to be the best investor friendly agent that I could possibly be. So that first year as an agent, I made $90,000 in commissions full time. And I was at Keller Williams. I worked with some of the best coaches over there. The owner of our brokerage and my personal coach was a direct report to Gary Keller. And if you know anything about Gary Keller, he only has three direct reports. So I was getting the best of the best advice and stuff. And it was the old thing where like, hey, call your friends and family. Your sphere of influence is going to be, what makes you $1 million real estate agent. And so every day at 10 o'clock, he had me calling 10 people that were on my phone of friends and family, asking them about, what's going on and telling them about the value of their house and, hey, it's a good time to move and here's interest rates. And I I was so miserable. I'm an introvert by at birth, and like this is not what I want to do. Is bother my friends and family every day, and I struggled through it, and I got it done. But I was like, there's got to be a better way. And that's when I made the pivot to say, okay, I'm going to just focus on investors. I love talking to investors. I can talk investment strategies and all that stuff all day. It fires me up. And because I'm specializing in it and because I'm an investor myself, I can attract people to me. Like, hey, come work with me. I've got the experience, I've got results. Like, here's somebody that they want to work with versus there's thousands of realtors in every single one of your markets that you're competing with, right? There's a billboard with a realtor every couple miles, that I drive in my town here. So like instead of being like the dime a dozen realtor, like you specialize in helping investors, that actually attracts people to you. And so that's what I did. And I set up all my marketing around that. And it started attracting organically people reaching out. Hey, can you help me with investing? I heard you were the one to go to. I see online that you've got the experience and strategies and network that you can connect me to. And so that really changed things for me. So the last 5 years, I moved my license to eXp Realty and I've been awarded the eXp Icon Agent Award 5 years in a row. And that's given to agents that gross over $500,000 in commission each and every year. So 5x from that $90,000 in commissions my last year before I specialized and niched down and working with investors. And BiggerPockets had a big hand in helping me get there. But I just made that decision. And that's what I write about in the book is how do I do that? How do I niche down? What do I need to develop around my marketing and strategies? And how do I talk to prospects? And how does all that work?
It's interesting that you said, because my next question was about to be like, how many of your transactions are investment transactions, but clearly it's like
It's
all of
all.
So when
Every one of them. Yeah.
talk about your marketing strategy. How are you marketing yourself? Because I worked for Keller Williams too at one point in time, and it was always about sphere of
Yep.
influence. So why? And it's those awkward conversations. I haven't talked to you in about 10 years. I'm trying to,
Yeah.
you trust me with this the biggest transaction of your life. How did you pivot from like sphere of influence to your marketing? Like what was your strategy
Yeah.
around marketing? And I'm pretty sure it's in your book too, but what was that
Yeah,
about?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so the worst thing about your sphere of influence is, and I pulled the census data that tells me this, that people move every 12 and a half years. That doesn't even mean they buy a house every 12 and a half years. But your best chance is the people that you know, when you're calling them and making all those contacts. And at Keller, they told me you needed to talk to everybody in your database 36 times a year, which is insane. Like that's so many calls. And for 12 and a half years, you have to do that before they move or move again. Like the ROI on that, Candice, is insanity. Like you will go crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Versus working with the investor, I don't know any investors that just want to buy one investment property. Like none of them do. All of them want to get financially free. All of them want to build a portfolio. All of them want to amplify their retirement options and all this stuff. So it takes more than one investment property, and that's the beauty of working with investors. Is you're going to get multiple transactions a year from each of these clients that can be very lucrative and really increase your ROI. I mean, we were just looking at our numbers from this year. We've already sold properties to leads from BiggerPockets leads from 2025, 2024, 2023, 2022. Like they keep coming back. So it's more than just this year, and it's an amazing thing to do.
So when you did your marketing, was it more so like you paid for bigger pocket leads? Did you do any social media
Yeah.
marketing, newspaper?
Yeah,
Like
when I first started, before I had money to invest in leads, I was organically, posting stuff on social media. I started a meetup. This was huge for me. I started a meetup on Bigger Pockets, and it was the Bigger Pockets. It was the only meetup we had in St. Louis, Bigger Pockets meetup. I would fill a cooler full of drinks, and I'd present on a topic. I'd take a case study from one of the burrs that I did and share, hey, look at these numbers. Like, I can help you do this. Come to my meetup and see what it's all about. And so I would do that and meet people organically and stuff like that. And then as soon as the option was available, I signed up to be the featured agent in my market, and I've never vacated that spot. I mean, I think I've been running on there for 8 or 9 years. It used to be super cheap, guys. It was like $99 a month.
with advertisement space.
I was
Yeah.
like, these people don't know what they're selling right now because this
Yeah.
is insane. Like I'm paying $99 a month, and I don't sell a property that doesn't make a $5,000 gross commission. So like I'm getting multiple deals a month out. It was insane. And even now it's a great deal and a great bargain at whatever price you're at in your market. So yeah, so
Now,
I leveled up to that and started investing back into Bigger Pockets marketing. We also do some social media on Facebook and Instagram. And I spent a lot of time, guys, like hiring marketing agencies and getting my ads and my cost per lead so insanely effective on the social media front that at one point in the last 6 months, we had my cost per lead at $1.35. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be amazing. Like I can just turn this up and have leads, forever. Here's the problem with any kind of leads that you're doing outside of Bigger Pockets. They are extremely cold and extremely hard to get a hold of and extremely hard to convert. So it was nothing like talking to the person that had been listening to Bigger Pockets podcasts, that had been attending webinars like this and learning on the platform and being told, hey, go to our agent finder, find an agent in your market to help you invest. Those people are already warmed up and primed. They want to talk to you. And so it was much, much easier to convert Bigger Pockets leads than any other source for that matter.
and I like that you mentioned how you're closing deals from leads that you received from the past as well. Because realistically, like when we talk to our professionals, we understand it may not happen within your bundle.
Yeah.
And that's why have throttling, we have pauses, we try to, teach and educate what other professionals are doing when it comes to the follow-up strategy. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because sometimes if you have relentless follow-up, the deal will close, but you just have to have that follow-up. You
Yeah,
can't say, oh, they didn't respond to me. I'm not going to keep trying to contact them. Like you need to because they have an interest. It's just about them pulling the trigger and you feeding them the
absolutely.
to have. So
I mean, I tell all my agents, like, always be building your list, always
yeah.
be building your buyers list. And so that's what BiggerPockets is doing for me on autopilot every single month. Every lead that comes in goes right on my email list. And
Mhm.
so there's people that have not said anything to me and never responded to me in 5 years. And we're sending out a deal, we're blasting out a deal to my list, and all of a sudden they're there. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm interested in this property. And now that gives me a chance to make my pitch and convert them to start working with me, whether it's on that property or the next property. And that's invaluable. And
Yeah.
I'm always afraid if somebody hacks my database, like, and steals my list, because we've got over 2,000 of these leads on my email list. Like, this is extremely valuable stuff. Like, this is like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of email addresses because we sell properties to them every single week, and it's just been awesome. So
So
always
let's
be
go.
building your list.
Yes, and let's go into your follow-up strategy. What does it look like when a lead comes in? Like, what type of steps do you take, and what type of CRM are you using? What kind of automation
Yeah.
you have? Using AI? I want to know it all.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll take you back to the beginning because, like I said earlier, like, I don't love making calls to people. So, like, I put everything on autopilot at the very beginning when I started this 5, 6 years ago. So that as soon as a lead comes in, they're getting text messages and emails from me. And what
Mhm.
I'm doing in those messages is positioning myself as an expert in helping investors and asking them to book a call with me for a free strategy session. Okay. And so there's links in there. And for many years, I would never make, I mean, I prided myself on telling people this. I never made an outbound call. Like, they would just schedule on my calendar. Okay. And I would just have a couple calls a week with these leads. I didn't get all of them. I didn't even get half of them, but I got enough of them to make me a lot of money by converting those leads that did sign up for a call. But over the years, I've built a team, and I got some of my team members on here now, and we decided to get more effective. And so not only do we have the automated strategy, but somebody from my team, as soon as the lead gets assigned, gets assigned to that lead and is now manually calling them and texting them as well. So, the faster you can get to that lead and call them is the better your results are going to be. Because when they are entering their information on that form, they are hot and ready to talk to you. And
Mhm.
that may change tomorrow, or somebody else may talk to them and already get them. So, like, the faster you can get on giving them a call as well, the better your results are going to be.
So your first primary method is like texting, calling, and
Yeah.
then like if they don't respond, then you put them on like an email drip more so.
Yeah, my CRM is automatically texting and emailing them the second the lead comes in. They're on campaigns where they're going to get those messages on a daily basis to book
Mhm.
a call with me. And also, somebody from my team is reaching out to them as well, trying to get them on the phone.
Yeah.
And we do that until we have that buyer consultation call that we call it on our side. Known as more of a strategy call when you're a client or a prospect looking at our system and process.
No, I like the fact you said to book a call with you because you need to have a calendar link. You need to have some availability in order to have
Yeah,
a conversation. And why not put everything in the front end instead of like waiting for them to
yeah,
respond back? Because I might be in the meeting and I'm
yeah,
multitasking. We book a call for, 2 o'clock today or whatever the case may
right.
be. So I'm glad that you're doing that as well. I know you spoke about having a team. So what other leverage do you have in your operation and who does what?
Yeah, so we got a team. I've got 10 agents under me. I've also got, I talk about in the book, like, the first person you need to hire is a transaction coordinator. That is like the absolute must-have person in your business. So we've got a transaction coordinator who's full-time, does all the paperwork, all of the stuff that's needed to get us, once we get under contract, to the closing table so that we don't forget anything, that we don't miss anything. And then I've got an admin and marketing assistant who's full time too. and she does all my social medias. She does, assigns the leads that come into the database. She runs KPIs, helps me with a variety of things. Really anything that I need is kind of like my Swiss Army knife to get stuff done.
Do you care if your transaction coordinator? I was speaking to one of my old colleagues who's an agent. Do you care if they have a real estate license or not? Does that help you out? Do you
No.
feel like
Yeah, they
advantage?
don't need to be licensed. Yeah.
And when did you realize you needed this leverage?
Um, I'll tell you a story, and this is a powerful one. So when I was back before I went to EXP and I was at Keller, I was a solo agent for a long time, and they kind of planted the seed that I needed to grow and gain leverage to have better results. But when you're a solo agent, you're collecting 100% of your commission. It feels like a lot to give that up. Like, hey, I'm only making $90,000. If I brought on a buyer's agent and paid them half the commission, now I'm only getting $45,000 a year. I can't live off of that. That's crazy. So I'm gonna just keep doing it myself. That's the mindset that a lot of agents have. And so I finally bit the bullet and brought on, the first hire I had was a buyer's agent. She was actually a marketing, she was actually an admin assistant for me, and she wasn't performing very well. And it was my first ever hire. And I was
Mhm.
so awkward. I was like, I can't fire her. And I kept her on for too long. And so I finally got this wild idea that, hey, I'm going to tell her that position's going away, but there's a real estate agent position. It's commission based. It's just got to get a license, and that's going to come available. And so she just made the leap to do that. And I'll never forget the first lead I gave her it was a BiggerPockets lead. BiggerPockets lead came in. I never reached out to them. They scheduled a call on my calendar because they were getting the messages from the CRM. And these calls that they're scheduling, this is not like an hour long phone call. This is like a 15-minute phone call. Like I've perfected this over many, many years. I've probably done thousands of these consults at this point. We get it down, and I talk about it in the book, and we can get you the exact script I use. If you're interested, just reach out to me. But I've got this down to like 15 minutes. So I talk to this guy for 15 minutes. He gets off the phone, and I push a button on my CRM, and it sends him a buyer's agency contract. He signs it, and then it gets assigned to this first agent that I brought on. And about 2 months goes by, and I haven't heard anything about anything. I'm going about, still working some of my own deals and trying to train her up a little bit on becoming an agent. And then she calls me up and she's like, "Hey Dave, Trevor's property just closed. We just got a $5,000 commission. You got 2,500. I got 2,500. I'm ready for the next one. Like, let's go." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Wait a minute. Like you already sold him a property and made all this. I had no idea this was happening." And so I'm
Mhm.
going back and I'm like, "Wait, I invested 15 minutes. I spent 15 minutes talking to this guy and I got $2,500." And I'm like doing the math. I'm like, that's like $10,000 an hour. Like, how is this possible? I'm a real estate agent. Like, this is more than the president of the United States. Like, this is insane. And like that just lit a fire under me. I was like, this is insane. Like this type of leverage, like there's no limit. There's no limit. And so that's really what inspired me. Hey, how do I leverage people and agents and systems to make this thing even more profitable?
Yeah, it's always crazy. It's the mindset, right? You really talked yourself out for a little while as a solo
Yeah.
agent. Like, no, I'm not sharing any of my money. And then you
Right.
realize I don't have to do as much work. I
No,
have
I
to
didn't
do
do
some of the
anything.
legwork now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to make that
Yeah.
shift when you are ready, but you have to feed the fuel of what you want to change. So I'm glad you were able to do that. So how are you? What's your network of contractors, lenders? Like, what kind of relationships do you have? I know we were speaking about you have your own property management business. Like, what? Tell us all about that when it comes down to your network of real estate professionals.
Yeah, there's a lot I can get into here. The first thing I'll say is so part of what makes us attractive to these prospects, these leads that are coming from Bigger Pockets, is that we make them an irresistible offer. We make them an offer that's so good that they feel dumb saying no to, right? And so what that includes is our entire referral network. And so this helps, like if you're already investing, Like, hey, I'm going to give you the property manager I use. I'm going to give you the lender I use. I'm going to give you all the contractors, the plumbers, the electricians, the roofers, everybody that I use to rehab a property. You're going to get direct access to those people too. You're going to get my title company. You're going to get my inspector. Like you, when you sign up to work with me, you get my whole team. Like it's not just me, and everybody's doing the work for my clients because I feed them the business. Like they know that hey, if David O sent you, I better take good care of him because he's feeding my whole business year round, 365 days a year. So
Yeah.
that's one of our offers. And this doesn't cost them anything. All they have to do is sign up to work with me as their agent by signing a buyer's agency agreement. We just get paid a commission if and when they close on their property. And most of the time it's paid by the seller. And so it works out fabulous that they're going to get all of our network. They're going to get access to off market deals. They're going to get deal calculators. They're going to get some online training that I've put together that educates them on my market, how to analyze, how to strategize for their situation. And they're going to get to work with somebody, me or an agent on my team, that's an investor themselves that has direct experience with investing. And so when they see all of that come over with the buyer's agency agreement, that's all I have to do is sign this agreement. Like Dave's going to help me with all this stuff. Like it's a
Yeah.
pretty easy yes for them to say that to that.
Yeah, A to Z service, right? Like why
Yeah.
not give them the best of the best, the people that you've used, the people that you can even say, they've done work on my homes that I have, and just
Yeah.
pass that information along. How did you find all of your real estate professionals?
I
Like what was
mean, when you're starting out, you just got to find somebody. So this is our list probably has like I don't know, 60, 70 people on it, but it's always evolving, right? So sometimes a contractor goes bad. That happens every single year. Like you can't control that. So we take them off the list. We're always
Mhm.
getting feedback. Hey, how's this guy doing for you? How's that guy doing for you? We want to put the best of the best on the list so our
Yeah.
clients have the best people to work with. And so when you're just starting out, you just need to put names on the list to get started. And
Mhm.
so that might be reaching out on BiggerPockets. Hey, I see this lender in my city that's on BiggerPockets. Message them, have a conversation with them, tell them what you're trying to do. See if he can has loans for the clients that you're looking to work with. If he does, great. Let's give him a try. Let's put him on your list. And then the first time somebody uses them, you call that person, you say, "Hey, how did Joe do with the lending? How did it
Mhm.
go?" "Oh, it went great. Awesome." Now you know you're keeping Joe on your list. And if not, then you're looking for somebody new. And so it's constantly evolving. You just got to get started. I think one of the shortcuts I had when I was also putting together my list is another realtor I was really good friends with already had a list. And she's like, "Hey, let me send you my list." And I was like, "Oh, that's gold. Like I got like everybody already in there." And so, I merged my list with her list, and it's just been evolving over the years too. These are the people that we work with and they know us, they like us, they trust us, and they show up when somebody drops our name as the referral source.
60 to 70 people is a lot of people. And I
Yeah.
like it because you give people options. And I
Yeah.
also like how, because people sometimes professionals and agents look at each other as competition. And it's more so you guys can be a resource to each other. Like, how can I
Yeah.
help you? Like, don't have your chest be so big that you can't ask for assistance, you can't ask for help, you can't hear, somebody else's way of doing things. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you were able to do that and build your actual, professional list as well.
Yeah, another thing I'll say about that is you're giving these people referrals. Like, why not? Why couldn't they give you referrals back? So this is also a business source of
Yeah.
business for us as well. I didn't realize this when I started, but you know, my property manager was, I mean, he was getting like 40, 50 new management clients a year. Like he was killing it in his business because of us. And
Mhm.
he started sending business our way, just like, "Hey, I feel bad. We're getting so many referrals for you." And I was like, "Wait, you can send me people too?" And I was like, "This is awesome." So now that's more of a thing that we're focused on is like, "Hey, let me feed you and you feed me, and let's really be partners in this business." And like when your management company, they have somebody to sell, kick me over referral. I'll still pay you the 25% referral fee, but let me take the client from there and help them with any buy and sells going forward.
No, absolutely. Love it for you. So tell me how you build confidence in your clients who are more, or customers who are more hesitant. Because they're not clients just yet, but they're hesitant. Like, what do you do to have them build confidence in whatever their strategy is, or whatever is holding them back?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, so we do this in the 15-minute call that I talked about, is really trying to find out, where are they right now? Where do they want to go? And what are the roadblocks? Like if you say to me, I want to build a portfolio of 20 rentals and leave my corporate job, and I say, where are you at right now? And you're like, I'm at zero. I don't have any rentals right now. I'm going to say, well, what's keeping you from getting to 20? Like, why haven't you done this already? So I'm looking for those things and I'm trying to pull those out of people. And maybe it's the lending, maybe it's, hey, I'm not sure how to analyze the property. Well, we have a direct solution for each and every one of these objections. So I just match it up. So if you say, "Hey, I don't really know what a good deal is," that's a very common thing that these new investors are saying, and why many times they're not pulling the trigger and not buying a deal. Well, they need somebody to analyze it with them. So they need to look at our deal analyzer and look at a real property that's listed out there or it's been sent to them, and we need to help them run the numbers together and say, "Hey, all the numbers on this property look like this. This one is not going to cash flow. This one's not going to be profitable. You know, these are what the numbers look like. But if you bought it at this price, we just changed that number in the purchase price in the calculator. Now it's suddenly a deal." And now they start getting the clarity of, oh, that would be a deal at that price. And we can make an offer. And it may be crazy. It may be 50 grand under the list price, but you never know what's going to happen. So we'll fire that off as like a verbal offer or something like that. Generally, one of our standards on our team is we're not going to write an offer if it's more than 10% off the list price. But we'll shoot over a verbal. We'll give them a call. We'll send them a quick email that says, "Hey, we want to offer this amount. Does this make sense to write it up?" Or, I've got an investor and it only makes sense to buy it at this price. Is this worth our time to write up and actually go through the process? And they'll tell you. And a lot of times it's no, but sometimes it's yes. And you never know until you do it. So if we analyze a property, we're going to send over what makes sense as a deal, and see if it sticks.
Makes sense as a deal. I like the fact that that's your strategy because it's not, you're not trying to waste anybody's time here. Like,
No.
is you going to actually accept this or not? And if not, then
Yeah.
you have to strategize with your clients. So I'm glad that you have, that in your wheelhouse too.
And let me warn people before they do what I did starting out.
Disclaimer.
Um, I was, all these leads are coming in. They're asking me to analyze properties, run comps on properties, show them properties. And I was running around like a madman all over town and not closing any deals at first. And I was like, what's going on? Why aren't these people using me? And this one guy in particular, I must have done like comps for on 50 different properties and analyzed all these deals. I'm like, why isn't this guy? And like a year had gone by. And I was like, why isn't this guy buying a property yet? Like, I know he's high net worth. I know he has the money. He sent me the proof of funds and all this stuff. And he just let it out on a call one time that, he had bought 20 properties over the last year. And I was like, how did that happen? Like, I've been running comps. He's like, oh, other realtors were sending me deals. And that's when I was like, I got so mad. And that's when I changed my process. So like before you do any of that work for people, make sure they sign up to use you as their agent. That is critically important. And then number two, make sure that they get pre-approved or have a proof of funds. Because there's lots of people that want to go out and buy properties, especially in this like YouTube sub two craze that's going on over the last couple of years. Everybody's told that they don't have to have any money to buy properties. And so make sure they have a pre-approval or a proof of funds. You do those two things, you're going to save yourself like 95% of all of the tire kickers and time wasters out there. And so that's what we do. So before you would do any analysis to make sure somebody's clear, those are the two things that we're doing with people.
20 transactions is disrespectful.
Yeah, I was just mortified
Oh,
when he said
Lord.
that. was like, I
Yeah,
have been working so hard to
yeah,
get this guy, white glove service, and
yeah.
he's been buying the whole time.
Thousands of dollars. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But you have to protect yourself as an
yeah,
agent, right? Learn it, you
absolutely.
learn the lesson,
Yeah.
protect yourself. So how do you stay involved with your clients after the purchase? Like how do you make them become reoccurring investors with you?
Yeah, we're always checking in on them. So, like we have in our database, like once you become a client, we are gonna rank you, and you can either be we are on like a 5-star rating system. So
Mhm.
some clients we have that are rated 5-star. That means they're open or possibly already buying multiple investment properties a year. So like these are our top people. Like these are the people that we're calling every couple of weeks to say, "Hey, how are things going? What are you looking for now? What can I help you with?" We're on top of those people, staying in touch. 4-star, maybe buying one investment property a year. That's still pretty involved, but maybe not as much as the 5-star. So we've got a little bit different pace of, we're not going to do as much follow up as we are with our top people. And then 3-star, they may have just bought one property, they haven't bought again. That's more of a slower drip that we have on those, but everybody is still in the email list. They're still getting off market deals from us. They're still getting monthly market updates from us. They're still getting, a random email on Christmas that says, Merry Christmas. And this is what's going on with us this year. And we're hoping you and your family are having a great one too. So
Good. It's just constant follow up. It just never ends. It's never
yeah,
ends.
it
It's never,
never ends. Yeah.
yeah,
It
you just
just,
gotta
yeah,
keep
you
it going,
do more for your most valuable clients.
of course.
So you just scale it up with, how much business they're doing with you. Same thing with your referral partners, right? So if you
Mhm.
have a property managers that send you a couple clients a month, like you want to be really taking care of him too, taking him out to dinner, sending his family, nice gifts and stuff like that to be rewarding them.
No, absolutely. It's a strategy behind it. Do you have that
Yeah.
in your book as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Yeah, it's
This book has a lot of
everything's in
nuggets
there.
in it. I
Yeah.
can't wait to read it. I'm gonna order it
Yeah.
myself. So what investment strategies work in your market? Do all of them work? Because there's some markets where you can do anything.
Yeah.
There's other markets where it's very limited.
Yeah, I'm really blessed. So we're in St. Louis, Missouri, right in the middle of the Midwest. And I, born and raised here, never knew anything about investing in St. Louis. I never even crossed my mind. But once I got into the BiggerPockets community and started networking with investors, like everything works here, which is really, really cool. So we've been doing everything. So we started with just doing helping people buy and hold, buy, fix and hold. Then we got into fix and flips. We started doing Airbnb nightly rentals. We started doing midterm rentals. We started doing multifamily apartments. I mean,
Wow.
everything under the sun. The only thing I don't do like commercial, retail, stuff like that. I kind of
Mhm.
just stick in my lane of, hey, residential real estate or commercial multifamily.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you having an inventory abundance or a shortage in your market?
Yeah, we're still short here. I know many parts of the country it's an opposite market where it's become more of a buyer's market. St. Louis is still a seller's market. It's not as bad of a seller's market as it was a couple years ago, but
Mhm.
inventory is still low. I think we're at like 2.8 months of inventory. And that's kind of the general barometer that you want to look at to figure out what market you're in. So, in realtor terms, months of inventory, what that means is if no new listings came out, how many months would it take before everything on the market has been sold? So, when I say there's 2.8 months of inventory in St. Louis, if listings can't come out for 2.8 months, everything will be gone. There will be nothing left for sale. Generally, a balanced market would have 6 months of inventory. So you can tell anything below 6 months is going to be a seller's market. And back after COVID, when we were in the height of everything in 21, 22, and interest rates were 2 point something percent, we got down to zero point 0.8 months of inventory. That's how severe of a seller's market we were in here. And so it has risen since then. but we're still below the kind of balance market threshold. And then, I'm a big numbers guy, so I go back and it's like, well, when was the last time we were in a buyer's market here? And it happened to be like 2013. So the last
Okay.
downturn was it started in 2007, 2008, and then we hit kind of a bottom in 2013 where it spiked up to like 13 or 13.4 months of inventory, and it's just been coming down ever since then. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. So I feel like this is what I see people coming across that they're not that willing to sell their property when they're at such a low interest rate. They're so
Yeah.
low, their purchase power is not going to be the same at a
Yep.
6 point whatever interest rate, whatever it is today. So do you have any off-market deal finding tools at all? Like how do you work around that?
Yeah, that's a big part of our strategy is being able to expose our clients and our leads to off-market deals. So this is something you definitely want to implement, and it's really easy. You don't have to start a wholesaling business and start calling and door knocking on homes. All you have to do is start networking with the people in your market that already have the off-market deals. So these are wholesalers, these are other agents, these are other investors. You're looking for the stuff that people are trying to sell that isn't on the MLS. And once you get one of those properties, now you can promote it to the people in your database, the leads that you're talking to. Hey,
Mhm.
so and so called, they're looking for a duplex. Well, hey, I've got an off-market duplex that I could show you. That's one of the benefits of working with me. Like you're not going to find this if you go work with the other realtor, Joe Schmo, right? So you want to position yourself to have the ability to give prospects and clients access to this off-market inventory. And at first, it may be a bunch of junk. That's okay. Now we're subscribed to everything, so we get all the wholesalers' deals. And we have a process of looking at it and saying, "Hey, is this good enough to send out to our list?" So many
Yeah.
times it's not, so it just goes in the trash can. But the ones that are good or close to good enough, like we're going to send them out to our clients and give them access to that.
I'm glad you have the solutions for it
Yeah.
because 2.88 months of inventory is not a lot. So at least you
Right.
know how to work around it. Do you
Yeah.
work through foreclosures and short sales and all that as well, or pre-foreclosure, those lists?
We will. Rarely are we working directly with a seller that's experiencing that. A lot of
Mm,
times the bank will have it as an REO and we'll have it listed on the MLS as a foreclosure. That's how many of those deals are coming through. Um,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, understand. But we're going to wrap it up. I know we have about 13 minutes left. So what is one piece of practical advice you would give someone starting out in the industry? What would you say?
I would say just get started. You don't. So that this business is all about talking to people. Like
Mhm.
you have to be able to connect with people, whether it's networking with other like-minded professionals in your area, like to learn what they're doing, to get access to the deals they're looking at, to get access to the way that they're doing things, and then getting referrals from them. And then of course, talking to these prospects, especially the BiggerPockets leads that you're going to sign up for, you've got to make calls to talk to these people, and it helps to have a proven system to convert them. So that's why I'm recommending you guys get the book and just start taking action. So at some point, you got to stop reading and listening about it, and you've got to say, hey, and this is what I do. This is how all my agents know how I work is it's an hour every day. I don't work 40 hours a week, guys. I work like 20, 23, 24 hours a week. It's not a big workload, but for 1 hour every day, Monday through Friday, I'm hitting the phones and I'm making the big calls that I need to do to connect
Mhm.
with people, to keep clients, relationships going, to talk to new agents, to coach my current agents. I'm getting all that done. And so you've got to take that block of time to make outbound calls and reach to prospects and leads that you're working with.
I do have a question for you. Do you do segmented outreach? Do you have just like one time block you make your phone calls, or do you try on the evening? Do you ever try on the weekends? Like, what's your
Yeah,
outreach,
my
or what time?
cadence, and I build this just around my own schedule. I'm a big fan of like just creating your ideal week the way you want to live your life. And I've got three young kids we talked about before the call. Like I don't do any work on nights and weekends. Like I that doesn't interest me. I don't want to be away from my family. I spend time here at home and doing kids sporting events and family stuff on nights and weekends. So I make my calls in the morning and I go on my appointments in the afternoon and I'm there at the bus stop to pick up the kids at the end of the day and that's it.
Work is smart, not hard, right?
Yeah.
That's the way to go. What was your biggest lesson you learned in running your organization?
Um, I'd say you got to keep track of the numbers. I never wanted to do this.
Mhm.
In many years starting out, like I had no idea. You asked me about conversion percentage. You would asked me that 4 years ago. I had no idea. I just knew it was working because money was kept coming into my bank account.
Mhm.
Um, but you got to know the numbers. And
Yeah.
years ago, like when I was making all that money, the first thing that you mess up there is you don't set enough aside for taxes. And then your accountant gets back to you and it's like, hey, we need about $65,000 to pay your tax bill this year. And I'm like, well,
Right.
geez, where am I going to get that?
Mhm.
So you got to know
Absolutely.
your
Love
numbers.
that.
And so we got QuickBooks, we got a bookkeeper. We're always tracking, what's coming in, what's going out, what is it, what's happening with the leads? Are people following up? Are we
Mhm.
converting them? What do the percentages look like? Is this a smart investment to keep making? My wife and I, we run in the business together. So like every single Monday, 1:30, it's a standing meeting for 30 minutes. Every single week, we open QuickBooks and we look at the P&Ls. And just, you got to have your eyeballs on the numbers or things can get out of control quickly. And if you're only looking at it at the end of the year, like I used to do, there
Mhm.
can be big surprises in there that you don't want to see.
That's a solid one, David.
Yeah.
Taxes, IRS will always come get you. They're gonna
Oh,
come
yeah.
find you.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
It looks like we have one question in the chat. Brad asked, have you ever sold a property to a client that you wanted for yourself? And he has the second question after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mhm.
do. And I do set some ground rules around that. So one of the things that I made a commitment to do, and I've stayed true to this, is if the property is listed on the MLS, um, I will always prioritize my client's interest before mine. So if somebody is interested and this is a publicly um, available property, they get the first dibs. And if they don't want it, and a lot of times it's a good deal, and I would have bought it at that price, and they're asking me, "Hey, would you buy this deal?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll buy that deal. It's a great deal." They're getting it. So that's kind of my commitment that I made. On the inverse of that is like all the off-market deals that I get, I'm getting first dibs on those. So like I'm getting the off-market deal, I'm the first one to look at it. I say, okay, I want this one. So this one doesn't go out to the client list in the database. So that's kind of the trade-off that I make on that end.
That makes sense. And how do you handle multiple clients wanting the same property?
Yeah, it can get tricky. I prefer to, the benefit of having multiple agents on your team is now I can have two different agents working with each of those clients. And, I don't disclose what either of them are doing. So they are going to be, unfortunately, competing against each other. And we just keep it confidential what the offers are and stuff like that. But that'll
Good.
happen from time to time for sure.
Okay, good. Brad said that makes sense. So good. Took a little nugget from
Yeah.
that. Well, David, I don't see any other questions in here. So I really appreciate the time that you took to, talk to everyone, dropping the nuggets. We're going to send out the link to get the book. And is the script in the book or is the script something separate that you had? I know you mentioned the script.
Yeah, it would take up too much room to put the exact script in the book, but there is a website in the book that you can go to get that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. A
Yeah.
lot of nuggets. Well, I really do
Yeah.
appreciate you, David. We're going to end the webinar and I'm going to give you a call right after this so we can have a quick chat. Really appreciate all
Cool.
the valuable information that you just shared with everybody. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And the direct link to that book is freeagentbook.com. I want to put it in the chat real quick. Freeagentbook.com. And you just need to put in your email, name, and phone number, and we'll send you the PDF and the audio because I know some of you are lazy and don't like to read. That's okay. I'm one of those too. We have the audio in there, so it's a really cool listen. You may recognize the voice on the audio. And the only way I can get away with using his voice is I'm not selling this. So we're giving it away. But a cool little surprise there for you when you click on the audio. I think you'll
Oh,
enjoy it. But freeagentbook.com, it's been a pleasure to help you guys out. And I'd love to connect with anybody that wants to go deeper on this stuff and get help on your conversion. So it's really
yeah.
changed my life and means a lot to me.
Yeah, and we're going to send the recording and the link and everything after probably if not the end of the business day today, tomorrow. So thank you everybody for joining. Until
Thanks,
next time.
guys.
All right. Bye.